Hi friends, welcome back to our channel where we talk about everything related to motherhood. If you are new here, my name is Alana. I am a stay-at-home mom to 4 kids under 4, including 1-year-old twins who my husband and I foster.
And I'm Andrea. I am a former high school teacher and now a homeschooling mom to 4 kids ranging from age 1 to 9.
Today we're going to be talking about teaching your child to read. And so we will be reviewing 2 different curriculum. One of them is called The Reading Lesson, Teach Your Child to Read in 20 Easy Lessons.
And the other one is called Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons.
One thing we want to mention about both books is they are both good resources to use to teach your child to read. At the end of both of these books, they will be able to read beginner books.
Okay, so we're going to start with this book first. And there is a list of all the pronunciations that they cover. So what's really nice about this is the fact that they split up the pink and the black. The pink is what you're supposed to say to your child, and the black is kind of just extra little information to help you teach it. There's a lot of pink going on, so if you're going to go through it and read all the pink, your child can get frustrated and can just get really, really tiring for a younger child. So I usually do not read the pink. It maybe is important to read it in your mind and then figure out what's important to tell them because it's a lot of information to be reading out loud. There are little parts that you can turn into a game, which I absolutely love. I turned this into a game. It says like to say run, but I turn it into a game. I usually break it down into 3 sounds and then the child has to guess what I'm actually saying. So for example, I'll say at, and I ask my daughter, what am I saying? And she'll say rat. It really teaches them how to listen to broken up sounds and put the word together. So that's really nice that you can turn those pieces into a game and make it a little more fun and exciting for them. I also love that they separate the short sounds from the long vowels, like in this case, the universal symbol for a long vowel. And the best part about this is the lessons are really short. So for example, this is lesson 10. It starts here. I have her skip around. I don't have her go in a particular order. I honestly just go through the sounds because right now there's no new sounds. This would be review. And then whenever she wants to get to the word, she can honestly do 2 letters, read the word, and go back. I'm being super flexible this time around. This is our 3rd child going through this. But this is lesson 10. And again, I just skip straight to reading it. And I look to see if there's that game in between. And that would be all of lesson 10. She'd finish on that word and I would ask if she wants to keep going or if she wants to be done. But this all takes about 10 minutes a day. And notice by lesson 11, they're already reading several words, which is really nice because it really encourages the child. And I feel like each child has been super excited to actually see themselves reading in such few lessons. I do want to show you what they end up reading at the end. This is the final story, part 1. So it's split into 2 parts because obviously it's lengthy. And then this is part 2. But I really love the fact that some of these words are actually challenging. So for them to finish, depending on when you start the book, of course, this is 100 lessons and they take 10 minutes or less. But this is really amazing that a child can actually read this. So if you start with like a 4-year-old, you can go really slow. And if the child is 6, you could also do a lesson a day and just keep moving at a faster pace. One more resource that they have back here is when you're done, I love that they end with what now? They give you a list of 20 books that your child should be able to read once they are done with this book.
Here is the reading lesson. Here is a visual of all of the sounds that will be covered in each of the lessons. In lesson 1, it will cover C-O-S-A-T. Each of the lesson covers between 3 to 5 letters or sounds. This book covers a few more sounds than 100 Easy Lessons. For example, E-W, I-G-H, and P-H are covered in this book, but not the other one. Your child does not need to know their letter sounds before starting this book. It may be helpful, but there's some activities you can supplement to help them learn the sounds. On this page, it shows you how to pronounce each sound. For example, O, you pronounce it as an octopus if there's no lines or circles. But if there is a circle in the middle, it is a long O, so it's pronounced old. So this is supposed to be 20 lessons, but for example, the first lesson is actually about 16 pages. And so even though it says 20 lessons, it will probably take around 100 days, probably around the same as the other book to learn. If you want to use this book for multiple children, something that I do with my daughter is instead of having her write on this book, I use, it could be erasers, I use these little jewels, sometimes it could be stickers, and a little game I like to play with her is I will say the letter sound and she has to cover the letter. So for example, I will say S and she has to cover the letter. And then I'll say ah, and she has to cover it up. And so we will do this page multiple times until she gets every single letter covered, and then we can move on to the next lesson. So sometimes we stay on the same lesson for a few days. Something else I really like about this book compared to the other one, besides just it being more visually appealing, is I like the way that they teach blending. Here, you would say k, ah, and then you put it together for ka, versus it just being a word, sort of how it shows in the other book. I feel like this separates it better so they can understand that it's individual sounds coming together. By the end of this book, I'll flip ahead a little bit here, they should be reading pretty lengthy stories. This book has really cute illustrations to go along with the stories, and that keeps her motivated to keep reading and practicing her words so she can read these. I'm trying to get to the final lesson here. Okay, so compared to the other book, this is what your child will be reading at the end of this book. So hopefully those flip-throughs were helpful. Overall, we think that both of these books are good choices and they will both help your child learn to read. I actually started off using this one to teach my daughter, and I switched just because it was kind of too cluttered. I didn't like the format. It was a little too boring for us, but there are certain things that I took with me from that book. For example, it tells you in the beginning to make sure that when you're teaching them sounds, for example, the letter M, to teach them how to say instead of saying ma, because then when you're blending them together, instead of saying ma, ah, duh, they would spell it mad or pronounce it mad. Like it's easier to blend that way. And there's other tips in there that I brought over to this book. So for me, it was valuable to have both. I wouldn't do both of them at the same time, but they're both really good resources. They each have their own pros and cons.
Yes, and with our first child, I didn't like this book at all because I felt the need to read all the pink to her, and it ended in definitely some tears. And so I definitely had to learn how to improvise and not feel the need that I have to read every single thing out loud. So if you are using this one, I would highly encourage everyone who uses it just to read the pink for yourself so that you know, like, what is the purpose of me even mentioning the pink information, like the instructions. And then, again, use it to make it work for your own child, because I actually love this book now. In both cases, I want to mention that we are both disappointed in the fact that we know little kids love color. So many kids love color, and neither of them have color in them. So it would be really nice to find this exact type of book with colored pictures in it so that the child, again, has an extra motivator to read. We cannot emphasize enough to make sure that you tweak it so that you love it and that your child loves it. Like I said, this one didn't work for us at first, and then I made it work for us. And she started with this one and again took things from here and moved to this one. So it's okay to move, it's okay to try one and not like it and have to tweak a little just to make it work for your family.
You can also add supplemental resources to help. For example, my child did not know many of her letter sounds when we started this book. She was 3. And so I supplemented with this. It is called the Learn to Read Activity Book. I found it on Amazon. And so what I did is for the first lesson, for example, we learned the letter C. And so I would look in this book and I found the letter C, and we did the activities for that letter.
So you can really take almost any book that's like a preschoolish level that has one letter at a time. And again, once they learn that letter, you can just pull out that book, open to that letter, have them trace it, do whatever puzzle that is in the book with that letter to reinforce that particular letter that they're learning. So we really hope that these 2 books will help you begin your homeschooling journey, because we know there's a lot of options out there. So hopefully this will help you just get started in helping your child learn how to read.
Don't forget to hit the like button if you found anything in this video helpful. If you have any questions about these books or how we use them, feel free to ask us down in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.